When you're working on a documentary, there will be times when you need to use modern day footage that have been shot recently, but have it represent a more historical time or event. And so having it look so beautiful with the latest camera, sometimes just it doesn't pull off that historical illustration as much as you would like to. And so it can be helpful to apply a kind of an old movie effect to your clips to help give it that historical feel. And I have an example of that here on a recent documentary I was working on. I think we took a look at some of this in a previous tutorial where we added a specific sepia tone filter to all of our photographs so that they have a consistent look. But then it moves from still shots, still photographs, to talking about a historical time. And it might be 50 years old, 60 years old. And so even color shots might not be the best approach. And so what we're wanting to do is kind of give the feel of that we're looking at old film before color came out. And then it can be something that can be used to illustrate a script that is talking about historical events. And you might notice that I have used kind of the same tone, the sepia tone look, so that it kind of matches up with the still photographs. And yet it kind of gives that old film look that might have some scratches in it, might have some hair or even some jitter that it might have picked up as if we were taking it from a projector. All right, so how do we do that in Edius? Well, let's just click on that first clip there and go to our information palette and see all that we have done here. I believe that we have borrowed some of the tools that we used in a previous tutorial to give kind of that film look. Let's maybe just unclick all of these so we get back to the original shot. And then let's first of all add a film look that we have saved as a preset from our previous tutorial, and let's add that to start with to our clip. And that kind of gives a soft look to our media to start out with. And then we can add our monotone filter that we chose, that we were using to match up our still shots. We could maybe go into that and see what we've done. We've taken a basic monotone filter from Edius and just added a little bit of sepia tone to it by adjusting our sliders, the U slider to the left and the V slider to the right a little bit. That gives us a nice little sepia tone to match up our still photographs. But then we've also added an old film filter that comes with Edius. Now, as we look under video filters and we scroll down here, we find that there are two actually here. One is called Old Movie, and another one is called Old Movie/Film. And the one we're looking for is really the Old Movie/Film. The other one, basically, all it does is add video noise. In fact, if we dragged it onto our clip, we'll see what it is. It's actually a combination of two other Edius filters, a color balance and video noise. If we opened up the color balance, we'll see that there has been quite a bit of adjustment made to that, as well as the video noise is adding all the grain. Well, if we wanted to add a little bit of video noise, a little bit of grain to our effect, we could do that in a video filter here that's just called video noise. We could drop that on and just add just a little bit of noise to our effect, which will kind of give us the feel as though we're adding film grain. Okay, so we could add that if we like. But the main tool that we're really looking for here, the main filter, is this one here called Old Movie Film. And what this really does is it adds an effect that would emulate what a projected movie would look like. If you were to get out a video camera and put an old film into a projector and then film the screen, this is kind of what you would end up with. You'd get all the scratches, the dust, the dropped frames, the jitter, the shake and roll. Well, all of that is here in our effect. Now you'll notice that this effect is one of those where Edius has added some effects already to the filter. And the effects that they add are quite severe. For my taste, at least, I don't like to see something that is flashing on the screen this much. It kind of takes away, or I feel is distracting from the effect that we're looking for. So we need to open this up and make some changes. Just double click on it. And we can really do a lot to the settings here to help give us the look that we're wanting to go after. We notice here that there is also an option to add film grain, so we probably wouldn't have needed that video noise. And maybe just add 3 or 4 points there, film grain. Now, scratch noise, I don't mind the scratches so much. What I don't like is the frame jitter. I don't like something so obvious that it is going to be distracting from the shot, so I usually leave that off. I like the border darkening though. This adds a little vignetting around the corners of the film and gives you that feel as though you're looking at an old film through perhaps not the best lens on the projector, and you're just have that darkening around the edges. I kind of like that. But you have to be careful how much you add. You don't want to add so much. Then flicker, that's another one that I usually have off. That's the one that I was pointing out earlier that's adding this flash to the screen, the dark flash on and off, on and off. So I usually leave that off. The dust and hair ratio, I usually like to back off just a little bit, the size of it, the amount, and let's give that a try. And we'll maybe uncheck the video noise since we've found our film grain right in the filter itself. And as you watch this, you can see these scratches on the film, and it gives a little bit of authenticity, or gives you that feel as though you are looking at something that is archival or something that is old. Now, unfortunately, with our recording software going in the background, recording these tutorials, I'm not able to show this to you in real time. And the thing to know about this filter, too, is when you render it or when you export it, every time you export it, the amount of scratches or other effects that you may have applied using this filter, many of them are random. And so each time that you actually process this portion of your video, every time you export this video, the scratches are going to show at a different point in the clip. So because it's random, every time you export it, it's going to be just a little different. Something to keep in mind as you work with the options here. So a lot of these options in the filter are really up to you and your personal taste. I've shown you what I like, but by all means, experiment with the different settings here, then take a look at it. If you've got a fairly decent computer, you should be able to see it in real time each time you check. Now, one other thing I should probably point out is that you wouldn't necessarily always want to have this monotone effect or the sepia tone effect. Color film really came in, even as a home movie type of thing in the 60s. And so even historical footage could be color like this. That would be okay. So just depending on what era you're trying to present, or if, in my case, I wanted it to continue to match the look and feel of the still photographs, and so I chose to go with the same monotone effect just to add that consistency throughout the whole film. And that way we move very nicely, make a nice transition from the still photographs into the actual film clips. But again, depending on what feel you're going for, you might choose to not to have that on, and just go with it as if it's a color clip. You might want to go in and work with the actual amount of chroma that you have. If it's an older faded film, you might not have very much chroma. So you could back way off on the chroma. Once you have developed a look that you want to use through the rest of your video, you might have 10 or 20 clips that you need to affect. Well, it's good to pick out your final choices here. And then after you've selected all of the options that you're working with, do a right click on any one of them. That'll give you a drop down menu and save it as a user preset. And then you can use that user preset to drop on all of the rest of the clips so you have a nice consistency going to all of the clips that you need to add this old film look to. Okay, well, I hope that gives you a good idea of how you can work with the old movie filter in Edius 7.